Hi everybody, how you doing? I'm rehearsing today for gigs, so just working through some songs and stuff, and it got me thinking about gig etiquette because I've noticed a sharp decline in recent years. I don't know if you have as well, both as a gig goer and as a performer. So most of my gigs, I do produce original music and go and gig that sometimes. I did that last week on the south side of Glasgow. But that doesn't tend to pay. So I do a lot of covers gigs in pubs where I'm playing for 2 or 3 hours. Just playing popular covers. Or covers I like as well. So it'll be like Springsteen and Paul Weller and Neil Young and all that kind of stuff. I've noticed as both types of people, when I'm going to gigs and performing them, that people at gigs have just got really weird and really entitled. And I wanted to know what your thoughts were and what you've experienced with this. And I don't know if it's something that's come since the pandemic or... Oh, no, actually, because it happened before. I'll give you a couple of examples. But I don't know if it's got worse since we were all in the house and then we got out again and people have just gone a bit crazy. But I've really, really noticed it, and it's just a strange thing. So let me give you a couple of examples. The Temperance Movement, I went to see them a few years ago now, well, probably several years ago now. They've just got back together for a new tour, which is good news, but they split up a few years ago after the third album. But I went to see them at Oran Moor, which is a really nice venue in the West End of Glasgow. It's kind of like a Ryman, if you like. It's like an old church, and it's done out really nicely. It's a beautiful place. And there was a couple of guys that, I mean, from being in the line to get in, they were drunk, they were hammered. And then during the gig, they were just shouting and bawling. And there was one guy in particular that other people in the audience got annoyed with, and a bit of a kerfuffle broke out. And this was meant to be like a stripped down intimate gig in this beautiful venue. And Phil, the lead singer, had to stop and say, "What are you doing? We're just kind of making music here. Just stop. Just chill out." And that just kind of ruined the night a bit, because this guy was just... I mean, eventually I can't remember if he got chucked out or not, but eventually it died down anyway. And then I went to see, back in 2018, I went to see the Magpie Salute. And now, if you haven't heard of them, that was a band formed by Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes, along with the former guitarist Mark Ford and Sven Pippian, the bass player. And they brought in various other guys. The lineup changed over the years. But they produced 3 fantastic albums and then split up suddenly, and the Black Crowes were reformed. It must have been the old jingle of the cash registers. But anyway, that's another story. But they were a fantastic band when they're playing together. Mark Ford's one of my favourite guitar players anyway, so it was great to see him playing with Rich Robinson. Anywho, I went to see them play live at the Garage in Glasgow, which is more of a kind of rockier, clubbier kind of venue. And in the middle of it was a loud gig because they all had their amps full tilt. It was a full-on rock thing, as you'd expect them to be. Old school tube amps and stuff. And in the middle of the gig, they did what a lot of bands do, and they did a stripped-down acoustic set. Just 5 or 6 songs acoustically. Band gathered around a couple of mics, acoustic guitars, and it was really nice. But there were some idiots at the back, because there was a bar at the back of the thing, just chatting all the way through, as if they were in the pub. There was this great gig going on, and they're chatting away. And then there was a woman in front of me who was extremely hammered, who proceeded to shout and heckle, and shout requests, and shout, basically, look at me, for the rest of the night. And I remember Rich Robinson in the acoustic set just stopping and just saying, "I'm not going to play if you're going to behave like this." He was talking to a bunch of children. Eventually they kind of moved off and started chatting, and the gig carried on. But again, it just kind of ruined the night a bit. Other examples are, I went to see gigs in smaller venues, and you have people... I mean, this seems to happen to me. I either get a really tall guy in front of me, which isn't their fault. That isn't an etiquette thing. That's just my bad planning. But, I went to see Amanda Shires at King Tut's, and there was a guy in front of me who was literally... He was getting cans of beer from the bar and coming back, standing in front of me, looking in that direction. And he was dropping his cans and crushing them under his foot. So you could hear this loud crunch every time he did it. And he did it constantly the whole gig. And security were looking at me because they could only see me in the line of sight. They couldn't see this guy. So I'm just like... But I've got all these cans, round him and now round me. And he's crushing them. And, I'm trying to enjoy the gig here. And then I got somebody else kind of singing every single song at full pelt in my ear, out of tune. when I want to hear the person I've come to see. So it's just stuff like that. It just is really annoying. And people just don't... And again, there was people chatting. People chat all the time at gigs now, and I don't understand it. And now, a different perspective. So I play in pubs, as I've mentioned earlier. And it is a bit different because people haven't paid to come and see me. I'm just there. I impose myself on them. So I expect people to chat during my gig. That's fine. I'm there for background. I don't have an issue with that at all. It's a completely different thing. Now, the stuff that I get that annoys me, and I think a lot of other people get this as well, is again when people are drunk. And yeah, I know it's in a pub, but some people just drink all day and can't handle it. And I'll have people who are trying to talk to me mid-song. I'll be bursting through Hotel California, and I'll have some guy literally here, in my ear as I'm playing, who's wandered up, clambered all over my... I've got a little pedal board that I take out on acoustic gigs. Probably stood on my pedals, come over, knocked a wire over, and is going, play Wonderwall, or whatever, insert popular cover here. Or play Dancing in the Dark, or play this in my ear, or trying to have a conversation. I have people trying to shake... I mean, their intentions are good, but I'm playing away and people trying to shake my hand as they walk past, or give me a high five, and I'm playing. Or they'll stand, thinking they're being polite, but they'll stand me here, this close, as I'm playing and singing, waiting to talk to me. So then I've got this person here, and I don't know if they're a nutter or not, or just being weird. I can literally feel their breath on me. And there's just no boundaries. I mean, one of the good things with playing shortly after the pandemic is social distancing was still in. And so people stayed at their tables or whatever and ordered the drinks in and stuff. And there's a bit of, and to be honest, I miss a bit of that because people are just getting so close. And, and I'm probably not very nice to get close to at a gig because I'm sweaty anyway and playing away and shouting and bawling down a microphone. But yeah, it's just stuff like that. It's and also, some of the gigs I do are say 2 45-minute sets. I've got a lot, I've got a short time to fit a lot of stuff in that I want to do. And so if I can accommodate a request, I will. Especially if it's a song I like or I'm going to be doing anyway, or I'll do something. If I don't know it, I'll maybe, if the person's like, oh, would you mind playing this? I'll say, well, I don't know this, but how about this one? It's very similar. It's by the same artist. And that's usually cool. But I have people who get really annoyed if I don't play that particular song. And they usually ask me right at the end of the night, just before I'm about to finish, expecting to play on for another half hour for free or whatever. I'll get annoyed when I won't do Taylor Swift or ABBA. And I'm like, I've just done a whole classic rock set and blues. Why would you think I would play ABBA? Anyway, so sorry, I'm getting triggered now. Now most folk are really nice, and I meet a lot of really cool people when I'm out gigging. So this doesn't happen all the time. I have had one guy who was potentially, was about to be violent with me, but got thrown out. He came right up to my face. If he started off, excuse me, it started off with him saying, "Oh, let me play your guitar." And this is while I'm playing. I'm in my third song of the first set. I'm going, no, it's not an open mic night. I was being polite, and kind of saying, I've only got a couple of sets here. I need to get through it. And I don't usually let people play my guitar anyway, just in case. You never know. And he was hammered. If he'd been sober and looked like a guitar player, you can tell. I may have said, "Oh, come and see me in the break, and we'll sort something out. I've got a spare. We can do a wee thing or whatever." But usually I'm just like, no, especially when they've got you can see the cider drip down their t-shirt. They've been drinking all day. And he got more and more aggressive, kept coming up to me, "Oh, you're shit, you're crap, all the rest of it." And eventually I had to have a strong, because I was still playing. He was getting right in my face, and I had to have a strong yet assertive yet polite word and give him a look to tell him to back off, but in a slightly stronger, more Scottish way. Because at that point I was feeling under a bit of threat. Thankfully the bar staff saw it and chucked him out, and he was ranting and raving as he was going. And in that situation could have got quite bad, but thankfully it was okay. But it's just stuff like that, it's that's rare. It's more to do with the people who treat you like a jukebox, or just one more thing, that's what I just remembered as well. So sometimes I'll get people dancing, which is fine, which is great, and it's a real compliment. If I'm playing away and I'll play up to it and extend the song out if they're enjoying themselves, and that's brilliant. I did have one person who was it wasn't just dancing. They were hammered. They'd obviously been on a works night out, and they don't drink very often. And she was dancing very badly all across the room, banging into my mic stand, banging into my speaker, shouting and bawling, making it all about her. And that annoyed me because the whole attention was then on her. And she was clearly, not with it. It wasn't safe. So stuff like that can be quite annoying as well. But, people dancing is usually great. So what I want to know from you is, what have you experienced? Do you think there's been a decline in standards, if you like, in kind of social graces and politeness or whatever at gigs? Just looking out for each other and respecting the band or whatever. And if you're a performer, if you're like me, you do lots of different types of gigs. What have been your experiences? Now, as I say, pub gigs are a little bit weird because I expect people to be chatting and ignoring me because that's part of the deal. I'm there I'm kind of there as background music, which I'm cool with. And then sometimes people will get into it and they'll maybe dance a bit and whatever. And I also love chatting to people at gigs, but not while I'm singing because I can't. It's physically impossible, and it's really distracting as well. I want to put on a good performance. So if you're a performer as well, tell me some of your stories in the comments. What kind of things have you come up against at gigs and how have you dealt with it? So, and the juicier the better. We want to hear these stories. And what annoys you at gigs as a gig goer or as a performer? Let me know. Well, thanks for listening. I'm off to do the school run now. That's why I was just glancing at the clock as I was rambling on. Should have some more gear-related videos coming up soon. And I hope you have a brilliant rest of the week. And take care. See you later.